tearing the page of a phone book with a punch. Only a handful of people are capable of this miraculous feat. Concentration of speed and energy is the key. What secretive key lies behind the generation of such speed and punching power?
Karate ni sensei. Nash!
Oos! Hey, it's Nash. Today we're going to talk about test breaking, or taneshiwari. Testing out your tools and techniques is kind of a practice as old as tools or techniques themselves. It's not just a test. It's also been used as a way to impress people of power, attract students, make money. Most importantly though, it's been used to make sure the tools work as intended. But since it's difficult to test your tools while someone's trying to take your head off, different methods of testing have been developed over time. People breaking bricks, ice, even fruit and gourds. There. Of course, coconuts.
Oh, there we go. There, oh, now.
Yeah. So many coconuts.
Jesus Christ.
However, there are some less than common breaking techniques. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of these and kind of explain their purpose, since they're not immediately self-evident. So let's take a look at the esoteric breaking techniques. Today we're going to discuss the paper cutting punch. You don't see this one as much, I think, because general audiences don't really seem to get it, but the paper cutting punch is impressive for technical reasons. But it's not like there's only a handful of people in the world that can do it. I can do it, you can do it too with practice. The reason people use this as a test is it's a pretty decent barometer of accuracy and speed, and you have to be really relaxed to properly whip through and actually tear the paper, which is important in delivering a good technique. It doesn't really get referenced that much compared to the other esoteric breakings in pop culture like movies and stuff, although it does occasionally show up.
Now your punch has to be perfectly straight and accurate. Use the first two knuckles. Watch. You don't get it done, you don't move on to the next technique.
Of course I can count on Michael Jai White to get this into a movie. He's got the Kyokushin logo tattooed right on his shoulder. Good job, MJW. I can always count on you to make movies better. Now with the paper cutting punch, if you don't go fast enough, you'll wind up just kind of pushing the paper away, and that's no good. And if you go fast but you don't whip through, again, the same thing. So this works best with straight whipping techniques. Of course, like most things, there are ways to cheat yourself in this, kind of like those carnival bar punching machines. The reason I use a phone book page when I practice mine, besides the fact that it's one of the few things that it's useful for these days, if you use a longer piece of paper, like a full sheet of newspaper, you could wind up kind of catching the newspaper around your technique and dragging it out at its anchor point, and then it could just tear from regular old friction. A phone book page is short enough that if you catch it, it'll just blow over your hand and your hand will go through. And also, if you use a technique with excessive swinging follow through, like a wild hook or something, you could drag it and it could be easier to tear. Which is another reason to have a loose anchor point. You don't want to tear it at the anchor point. You want to tear it right where you connect to it or close to it, depending on how the stresses hit it. So if you've, ideally you've got a human partner holding it instead of like a chip clip, but you make the best with what you got. Shit. Now I say this works best with straight whipping technique, so you can get in and out and make the best of the actual paper's physics. But if you can even tear it with anything when you hit it, I mean, that's pretty good, just be honest with yourself when you're doing it, because the test is for you, it's not for an audience. So, you just want to make it progressively more difficult as you're practicing. Once you get comfortable with hand techniques, try giving kicks a try. Like any other breaking technique, you'll need to really focus on putting everything you have into each strike. But unlike other breaking tests, if you fail, the chance for injury is pretty low, and if you succeed, the cleanup is super easy. Happy training! Nash out.